So, well, nice meeting you. For those who don't know me, my name is Ramine Darabiha. I am an entrepreneur, gamer, occasional blogger, and I'd like to talk about an issue that's very important to me. It's this question: is the internet making us stupid? I spend a lot of my time on the internet, as it's my hobby, my work, a lot of things you'll see. And through exploring the internet, which is something I do very long during the day, I came upon this one question. Nicholas Carr asked in 2008, is Google making us stupid? That's a question a lot of people have been pondering, right? Is the fact that you can access anything out there and get any question answered making us dumber? Do we rely on it too much? And I'm a guy who, well, I'm a little bit of an extreme case because a lot of my life is on the internet. So essentially, during the past 5 years, I've been pushing my life to the cloud. I work on the cloud, and my friendships are there because my family and my friends, our original friends, are in France. I have friends in the US. My video nowadays I watch on YouTube and Hulu and whatever. My music, my files are on my sites. My photos, my friendships are there. My work, my news, I read about 200 articles a day. All of my entertainment, the video games I play are on the internet too now. My hobbies, my sex life, because I'm single, most of the action I get is on the internet. So it's okay. No, I'm happy with it. But anyway, most of the things I do nowadays are out there on the web. So that question, is the internet making us stupid, is very important to me. And the answer I have to that is no. Essentially, I feel a lot smarter, a lot more capable than I was 5 years ago before I had YouTube and Spotify and Evernote and all those things. So essentially, I want to invite you to start thinking about this question today. So essentially, we're going to talk about human augmentation. Usually, when people think about human augmentation, they think about this, you know, cyborgs and how to make yourself super powerful using machines. This is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that nowadays, you know, I have in my pocket my little iPhone here that I strongly rely on. I suppose you have yours as well. And essentially, we all have our little repository of knowledge in our pockets, right? All of the stuff I mentioned earlier, all my movies and things like that, it tells me where I need to eat. It tells me where my friends are. It tells me what I need to do. It starts beeping when I have a schedule, something. So all of the stuff in my life, all of the world's information, everything that matters to me is accessible now in my pocket or my iPad or whatever. So essentially, we're in this scenario now where we have super powerful machines with all the knowledge of the world accessible within 5 seconds, sitting in our pocket. Except here, because there's no reception for internet, so it's very handicapping. But we're in this scenario that sounds absolutely like sci-fi. You know, it didn't exist 5 years ago. It's new, and very few people are starting to leverage it so extensively. But still, it sounds like pretty much like this guy, like Star Trek, where they had this tricorder and they could scan the world around them and know information around them. And this is just a real life now. So there's this quote. I'm sorry, I'll make you read for like a minute. But there's this quote that really, really, I think is pretty powerful, which is, I don't know if you can read it. I think it's big enough. Essentially, that the evolution of mankind is strongly tied to the evolution of technology. We humans are really not that good in our natural state. And the way we grow, the way our civilization evolves, is tied to the way we relate to information. In that sense, internet is a core, extremely significant thing for humans because it is the strongest tie we've ever had to information and knowledge ever. And it's much faster, like I pointed out. 10 years ago, the internet was not that much. You couldn't do that much on it. You started using MP3s, it was very slow. 5 years ago, YouTube arrived, and nowadays it's just out there in your pocket. So it's accelerating all the time, this relationship we have with information and the rest of the world. We're becoming a lot more civilized through the internet. And the fact is that we were all born in a world where information used to be super difficult to find and extremely valuable. When I went to high school, doing a presentation was extremely annoying. We, I suppose it's the same for you, had to go to the library and find the specific book, find the place in the book where it was, and then copy it to the paper, and you'd read the paper to people, and that was essentially how you did a presentation at the time. The big revolution was when we had Encarta, which was version 1.0 of Wikipedia, basically. And at the time, if you had an idea, you were pretty much fucked. You know, if you had a new idea, if you wanted to search for knowledge, if you wanted to come up with something. The other day, I was talking with Lauri Järvilehto about how extensive this knowledge is nowadays. We decided to prove that by saying, well, what if we could build a helicopter? Sounds like a crazy idea. I just typed it out there, and I found this on Quora, and I found these hobbyists who build helicopters in their spare time and started telling me I could go in the supermarket, buy parts, and build a freaking helicopter. So essentially, like that's my benchmark to know that I can achieve absolutely anything I want in my life now. That's insane. So today, information is a commodity. There's so much, and you can access it all the time. But what does it mean? Well, if intelligence is about how well and how quickly we connect information A to B, idea A to B, in that sense, the internet is a huge accelerator for this, right? So it essentially means, yes, the internet is making us smarter, but does that mean that we should rely heavily on the internet for all the knowledge we have and all the information we have? Does it mean that we stop learning or just go and Google stuff, which is essentially the question that Nicholas Carr was asking? Well, not really, not always, obviously. The fact is that your memory is obviously faster for some things. For the things that are crucial to you right now or in the context where you are, people you're speaking with. But for general knowledge, like which year JFK was assassinated or what kind of fish lives in the biggest lake in Finland and things like that, this knowledge doesn't matter. We've been crammed with that in the schools for absolutely no reason. You never use them in your lives. So essentially, for these kinds of uses, if we start thinking of our brain as a volatile kind of memory, something that gets damaged, something that is more malleable, something that is more direct, something that is faster, and the web as something more permanent, where all of the knowledge is there and you can tap into it, we start thinking of the internet, Wikipedia and Google and Facebook, of something like a hard drive for knowledge, and your brain as the RAM in this kind of behavior you have in your life. So start thinking about the implications of that. What does that mean? What happens when this hard drive with all of the knowledge in the world of you, of your friends, and all that goes to the cloud? What happens with that? What happens with all the knowledge that we have is you systematically, instead of trying to remember it and training yourself to remember it, you just store it somewhere in Evernote or Wikipedia by yourself. And you have this methodology to start using it. What happens then? When a lot of people go from the cloud to something connected, where they all start sharing this memory, sharing the information they have. Of course, we do it every day now with the pictures on Facebook and status updates. But what if you did it with your notes in school? What if you did it with the birthdays or your feelings or anything? And what if we did that with a lot more people? Well, it's a very, very important question. It's a paradigm that's starting to change. So essentially, we're going towards a scenario. I was saying that the world is changing a lot faster now. As I said, within 5 years, we've improved a lot. Start thinking about how in 10 years it'll be. Well, in 10 years, we'll have 3 billion people who'll be strongly connected to the internet. And probably by then, we'll have tools that enable us to relate a lot more than we are doing at the moment with the cloud, with knowledge. So essentially, well, if we start thinking about how people relate to these technologies, we'll have people who are more and more specialized and who can offload the burden of having to remember everything, having to, have these neat little tricks of like, hey, I remember your birthday and things like that are really not relevant anymore. And this means that you can choose what to forget. You can choose what you want to know. You can specialize yourself in a special kind of whatever defines your life, like we saw in the previous talk. Which means that you'll be a lot more capable person. You'll be a better human at whatever you want to do. which means also you'll be a lot more effective because other people can complement you a lot better and a lot faster. So essentially what this means is that we'll become extremely specialized, extremely good, extremely efficient tools that can all connect to each other a lot more than now. And what that means is that we're becoming more and more like an organism. So I'll leave you with that thought in mind. And one of my favorite quotes from William Gibson, which is, "The future is here, it's just not widely distributed yet." Thank you.